Hey YouTube, how's it going? Only Buns here, back with a brand new video, and today we're going to be talking about the ABL Amateur Battle League Pokemon Minors. It's a doubles Pokemon draft league that I've joined. I've never done anything like this before. Never done a draft league, never did any of that stuff. Haven't had a actual league to compete in. But I'm trying something different, and I thought it'd be cool. So I'm going to be bringing all the matches, as well as the draft, to you guys on Twitch and on YouTube, so let's get into it. Basically, the rules of the draft were pretty simple. You had to select 11 Pokemon, 1 Legendary, that is the restricted tier, 1 Pokemon that's your Dynamax or Gigantamax team captain, as well as a S tier, 2 A tiers, 2 B tiers, 3 C tiers, and you have 1 free pick that can be any Pokemon aside from another restricted or legendary Pokemon. The team we're going to be represented is inspired by my favorite hockey team, the Edmonton Oilers. We are the Edmonton Excadrills, as you can see right there in the middle of your screen. I also want to take a chance in this video to give my condolences to Kobe Cave, who passed away today, this being Saturday, April 11th, 2020. Huge condolences to his wife and his family. It's extremely sad to see him go at the age of 25. And this season will be dedicated to him and his family. So, moving on from that, we're going to go into this round by round. And in the first round, we took Reshiram. That's our first Pokemon. We took Reshiram, Dragon Fire type. The cool thing about Reshiram is his weaknesses are kind of more on the fire side. He doesn't have that weakness to ice that dragons normally have. He doesn't have that weakness to fairy that most dragons have. He does have the dragon weakness, ground. I don't believe he has weakness to water because of the way dragon works. So it's just like ground and rock, stuff like that. So it feels like a pretty safe pick, and it can dish out a lot of damage, and I felt like it was a great round 1 pick. The other Pokemon I was thinking about taking was Kyurem, for pretty much very similar reason. Doesn't have the ice weakness, and it works differently, but it has more weaknesses in terms of fairy, rock, steel, as well as dragon. I just felt like Reshiram was a better pick than the Kyurem. Unfortunately, I didn't have Pokemon like Necrozma, Dawnwings, or Dustmane available to me. And I didn't want to take Eternatus for a bunch of reasons. I just felt like I didn't want Eternatus. I had second pick in the draft, so I pretty much had free game to pick whatever I wanted. And here in round 2, we took Excadrill. Not our Gigantamax Pokemon, but we took our mascot, Excadrill. We will be displaying his shiny form. I do have a shiny Excadrill, and aside from it being one of my favorite Pokemon, it also does so much damage. It has a lot of weaknesses: ground, fighting, fire. It's not as defensively tanky as some of the other options that I could have taken, like Tyranitar, if I was looking at something from the S tier, or a Dracovish, something like that. But Excadrill is so much fun to use, in my opinion. I've been using it in my actual VGC team, so it's a blast to use. And it's been getting a lot of one-hit KOs in my VGC experience. Obviously, it's going to be a bit tougher considering some of the caliber of some of my opponents in the league. They're all terrific trainers, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult to just, smack people, just swat people aside with Excadrill. But it's definitely a great solid addition to what I can do with my team. That being said, we head on to round 3, and the Pokemon we have picked is Gmax Sandaconda. Gmax Sandaconda is a great fit to be captain on this team. The only other one that I would even recommend would be Colossal. a rock type that can create, or a ground type that can create a sandstorm. Um, I had other options in mind for sandstorm Pokemon. Hippowdon springs into mind. Gigalith springs into mind, both having Sandstream. I could have used a free pick on Tyranitar if I wanted to, but I decided to just grab this Anaconda with Sandspit. You touch it, welcome to Sandstorm. So it's going to be, which will empower the Excadrill exponentially. Even if I decide not to go with Sand Rush, if I decide to go Sand Force, I can still do weird things with Sandstorm, and it's so much fun. Also, being able to do pretty much what G-Max Charizard does with Wildfire as its G-Max move, I can do with G-Max Sandblast as well, just with different typing. That being said, we move on to the A-tier Pokemon, and the next Pokemon we picked up was Shiny Rotom Heat. The little oven that could. Rotom Wash was S tier. Rotom Frost was my backup plan, but I really wanted a backup fire type with some versatility, and Rotom Heat can do that. Now, Overheat's not an amazing move since you do lose 2 special attack stats when you use it, but the power to possibly handle a water type with Thunderbolt, get some paralysis off, and it's quick too. So there's things I can do to work around the -2 special. Having Reshiram to kind of back it up if I need to. I can use something where I use Overheat only when I can use a choice item to make my special attack stronger. I can Life Orb if I want to make things stronger. Charcoal if I need to. I can use Overheat very situationally as well, and kind of use Rotom as more of a Ghost Electric Pokemon, like the Light Bulb original Rotom would be, if I want to, and then have the Overheat in the back pocket in case I just need a quick kill, and then switch out to reset the stats, stuff like that. So there's a lot of things I can do with Rotom that's a ton of fun. Moving on to round 5, we actually go with Conkeldurr. He's been growing a lot in the meta recently. You can do a lot, especially if you can get with Match Punch. You can go Iron Fist, you can go Guts, you can go Flame Orb, you can go Assault Vest. There's a ton of different stuff you can do with Conkeldurr that makes it very versatile, as well as Trick Room becoming more popular as well. That being said, it's another physical attacker. We have, 3 of those already. Let's go into our next pick, which I believe is our free pick. It is Mimikyu. Speaking of Pokemon that can set up really well and use Trick Room, we have Mimikyu. Mimikyu can set up the Trick Room for Sandaconda, for Conkeldurr, who are rather, somewhat slow, especially Conkeldurr. I think Conkeldurr can just do pretty much whatever it wants on the map, unless you can KO it with a fairy, a flying, whatever it may be. Togekiss is very scary, but Conkeldurr also has ways to match that. And aside from that, Mimikyu does a lot of damage, especially if you set up with Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak, if nobody sets up Psychic Terrain. So there's a lot you can do with Mimikyu. It has Disguise, so it can take a free hit, essentially, for Life Orb damage, and then pairing it with a Life Orb again would make it super strong. Heading into the midway point, a little after midway point of the draft, now we're selecting the less common Pokemon, and we have Vaporeon. Now, Vaporeon, while not as versatile, is another slow Pokemon that can make use of Trick Room, as well as being super beefy. Special defense, beefy. HP, beefy. Think of it as Lapras, but not quite as tanky as Lapras, and but it can do a lot of special damage, and it doesn't quite need the Assault Vest, or the Weakness Policy. You got to remember, I can't G-Max or Dynamax it, so it's got to be tanky enough on its own to survive. And giving it something like Helping Hand or Wish can definitely help boost the other Pokemon that are paired with it alongside it in the battle. Moving on, we go to round 8. Getting to the end of the draft, we go Espeon. Now, Espeon is kind of a weird Pokemon to take, but its ability is really good. It's Magic Bounce. It doesn't quite need to set up Trick Room, although it can, but its speed is really high, so it's not a great user of Trick Room, but, you know, Psychic types come in handy when... They come in handy more than you think. I'm also thinking about another thing that I will explain at the end of the video, not quite yet, but it's also got really, really high special attack, and I've seen it do some disgusting things, and again, it has the Helping Hand, it has the Wish, it has stuff like Rain Dance, Sunny Day, that can really set up a Reshiram, a Rotom Heat, something like that. Something like the next Pokemon that I'm about to put into the draft, Leafeon. I know what you're thinking. Wow, you got a lot of evolutions. Some of them are pretty good. Magic Bounce Espeon and Leafeon are some of those. I can set up Sun, double the speed of the Leafeon. And then I can make use of things like Solar Blade. It can make use of Swords Dance. It's relative. It can take a hit pretty well. And it dishes out so much damage with the Swords Dance, with Leaf Blade, Solar Blade, Iron Tail. There's a lot of options you can run with it to handle things like grass types or poison types, or not poison types, sorry, dragon types, and some other types that I can't remember what fairy is super effective against right now. What's fairy super effective against right now? I don't even remember. Fighting types and stuff like that. Dark types. So I can protect Espeon, or, you know, protect some of the other Pokemon, like the Excadrill, if I need to. Moving on to our next C-tier Pokemon. It's about to get weird, but we're going to deal with it. We got Blossom. Now, Blossom, again, can make use of the sunny skies that it can set up, that Espeon can set up, that Leafeon can set up. And it can use Solar Beam. And just being a solid grass type, not having the additional poison, means it can get one-hit KO'd by a Psychic type. And stuff poison would be weak against. It's just grass, but it can make use of a lot of the poison type moves that, say, a Vileplume could learn, or a Roserade could learn, something like that. It's also one of my favorite Pokemon, and it's pretty useful as a special attacker, being able to take it so low in the draft, so late in the draft. And for our final pick, we took the Behem. Don't ask. Behem wasn't actually my first decision. My first decision was some sort of electric type that I didn't get. It was like, there was Arctozolt, Kling Clang, and Lantern that were all taken that I could have used as my electric type. Now I know what you're thinking. Behem is not an electric type. What is he saying? Yes, I know it's a psychic type, but yes, I also know it's a great use of Trick Room. It's a user of Ally Switch if I want it to be, and it can learn Thunderbolt, so I'm not completely insane. Thunderbolt, it can use stuff like Energy Ball, Psychic, obviously Psychic, Shadow Ball, you know, the sorts of stuff like that. But having Ally Switch to just mess with the map a little bit, as well as being a super great user of Trick Room, can definitely do a lot for my team. So that's my draft. I think that it's pretty solid, but I do want to make one small point. We don't start matches until about a month from now, so I have a lot of time to practice. My first opponent actually has a great draft. I can't pull it up at the moment, but I will do a preview video to that match about a couple of days before it starts, or a week or so before it starts. But that's the draft. I think I may consider, because obviously you can see there's a lot of trick room, but what happens about the speedy boys like Excadrill and Espeon and, you know, Rotom, Reshiram? I do have a strat for that I might... I'm considering changing someone on my team. I would have to talk to the league owners and such, and I haven't been able to do so yet. But we'll bring that change when it comes to it. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet until I do the Week 2 preview, and I'll be able to discuss the changes heading into that game as well. So thank you all for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed and can't wait for the start of the ABLMinors season, be sure to follow them on Twitter at PokemonABL, as well as myself on Twitter for all the updates and when the matches will be at OBE_GG on Twitter. I'll put the links in the description below. You can catch all the matches. They will be on YouTube. They will be on Twitch if you want to watch them live. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. As always, it's been Only Buns here. I'm out.